Hey LS Church, we're starting a new podcast where we sit down with Sunday speaker and recap their message with questions and conversation. This week's pod is on April 13th's message, Stop Playin', with Pastor Bunk Sanders. Let's check it out. What's up LS Church, and welcome to the Sunday Recap Podcast. We are on episode 11, and we're here today with Pastor Bunk. What's up, Pastor Bunk?
Hey, what's up, man? Glad to be on the pod.
This is your first time on a podcast ever, right?
It is.
Okay,
yeah.
This is the first time on the Sunday Recap Podcast and the first time on any podcast ever.
Any podcast ever.
Let's go. So what we do on this podcast is we do exactly what the title says. We recap Sunday's message with the speaker. And like we said, Pastor Bunk was this Sunday speaker on April 13th's message,
Yep.
Palm Sunday.
Palm Sunday.
And your message was Stop Playin'.
Stop playing.
Not a G.
No G.
No G.
I'm a G saying it, but you know what I mean?
Okay, you'll get a lot of this episode. Pastor Bunk is a very funny guy, so we'll do a lot of
Hey,
it.
I'll take it.
So let's talk about even the title for a second. Your message was Stop Playin', and we've been talking about freedom, and we've been in this freedom, but we kind of have a pause on that to really honor the day, which is Palm Sunday,
Yeah.
and you really do go through that story. And so why does the phrase Stop Playin', why does that apply to Palm Sunday?
Well, as I said, I like having, different titles. I know it's kind of dumb. I understand that, but I like having a cool title to me.
Mm-hmm.
But it makes me think of, there's two things. One, there is there's no way this is true.
Right.
Like, stop playing. There's no way that's true.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes you say stop playing because you can't believe it's true.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So to me, it kind of works both angles of that, of even the triumphal entry of our Savior riding in on a donkey.
Right.
Like, stop playing. There's no way. You're telling me the Savior of the world is going to come in on a donkey.
Right.
Like, wouldn't he come in a chariot or,
Yeah.
And then when you find out, even if you do believe and you go, our Savior rode in on a donkey, if you think about it, like, stop playing. Like, literally, he could have rode in on anything and he picked a humble donkey to ride in on.
Right. So you can just go on every aspect of
like
the
every
Palm
aspect.
Sunday story and be like, stop playing.
Yeah, I mean, that works in life too. There's a lot of stuff you can say stop playing.
Yeah. And like you said, there's the double meaning, right? There's a stop playing of like, oh, for real? Like, that's awesome. Stop playing. There's also like, bro, stop playing. That's ridiculous.
Yes.
Yeah. There's a couple of
it
those.
works both ways.
Yeah. Okay, cool. Well, I like it. So let's go in a little bit. I know you go through the whole message, but just let's do a short Holy Week kind of walkthrough.
Okay.
So if you guys been following LS Church on Instagram, we've been going through, or TikTok or anything like that, we've been going through the Holy Week every single day, talking
day
about,
by day, yeah.
right. And so what is really, for a believer, why do we highlight this whole week from Sunday to Sunday? Why is Holy Week such a significant thing that we?
I think because it is the epitome of our faith. It is Jesus being the ultimate sacrifice for us. In the week leading.
Yeah.
I've been getting them twisted. The week leading up to the crucifixion and the resurrection.
Yeah.
Of what did that week look like?
Yeah.
Because sometimes we just think about, okay, we know Jesus rose again, he's our Savior, but like, what led up to that? And even thinking of him as in human form, of the emotions of going through, like, everything he did for those 3 years were leading up to that 1 week.
Yeah.
It's like monumental occasions, like you're going to be getting married soon, right? So it's like everything leads up to that one moment. You're like, so not only do you want to enjoy that one moment, but like, what led to that moment?
Right.
And for you and Amanda, it would be like in your relationship, like, what are those moments that led you to this?
Right.
So I think it's really important to see like what Jesus did this week leading up to what he knew was going to be his crucifixion.
Right. Yeah. Right. Like you said, like, so in hindsight, you think of all the people that were with him at that time.
Yeah.
Like, as soon as that day's over and as soon as Friday, hits and then Sunday hits and he resurrects again and he comes back, like, I'm sure for them, they're thinking, you knew this the whole time and you still acted in these ways, like, I think that's a crazy thing. But you talk about in your message, the crazy difference between Palm Sunday and Good Friday.
Yeah.
Right. And stop playing. Right.
Yeah.
Because it's crazy because, we'll kind of share the idea on why, like, those days seem so ridiculous to be just, I think 6 days apart.
Yeah. It's crazy to me that you can be, again, like, you're waving palm branches. And again, I'm not saying this is for everyone there, but we know when Jesus was on the cross, there was a handful of people there.
Yeah.
So all those people waving palm branches, saying Hosanna, that were like, this is our coming king, to then the crowd turning and saying, crucify him.
Yeah.
Days later. And it's a lot like how don't want to say our society nowadays, but like sometimes like you can be a hero one day and a villain the next.
Right.
Like, and that's what he came in as.
Right.
But he knew that. That's why, in that scripture talks about he's looking at Jerusalem and he's weeping because he's like, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like what they're looking for is something of this world. And when I'm bringing to something that's so much more than that.
Yeah.
So it's hard to even think about the heartbreak of like going in, and even while he's riding through. And again, I know I sounded like I worked for The Chosen on Sunday. But,
he has a lot of
they did a
references.
really good job of portraying that. But I'm thinking as I'm watching that of like, he's walking through, and the disciples, again, I don't know if it was accurately the way they described in the movie. You can only imagine. But to them, it was like, oh my gosh, this is it. I'm like, and he knows like the majority of these people that are praising me now are not going to be praising me in a few days.
Right.
And I'm trying to put myself in a situation. Imagine you're walking in somewhere and everybody's cheering for you, and like, hey, in a couple of days they're gonna be booing me.
Yeah.
But you already know that. You know what I mean? Like, how do you really receive that? Because you're like, this isn't even real.
Yeah, because like you said, if we put ourselves in that position, we'd be like, oh, you are fake. Oh, you are fake. Riding down the street like that. But that's crazy. And another moment that I really, really love that you spoke about is you talk about this this interaction Jesus had, I think, with the religious leaders and the Pharisees.
Yes.
Go ahead and you do a better job explaining.
Are you talking about the rock cries out?
Yes.
Yeah, man. Let me tell you what's cool about that is, again, like I said, I've heard that scripture for years. I've known that, but it's almost like this. Reading through this, it reminded me that that's where this scripture was.
Yeah.
Because, again, like I talked about the cheesy church shirts back in the day, or, ain't no rock gonna take my place. But I guess I just lost sight that it was in the middle of this point.
Yeah.
And the religious leaders are trying to stop him from going in and saying like, hey, you need to rebuke your people. You need to tell them to stop saying this, because they knew the implications.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And he's trying to tell them like, look, even if no one praised me, the rocks would cry out, the earth would cry out and praise me.
Right, yeah.
And he's like, you just don't, again, they didn't even get it, which is crazy, because if anybody should get it, it should be them, who knew all the prophecies. And I think that's why they were so mad, because they knew like, wait, the coming king should be on a donkey.
Yeah.
Who gives this guy the right to come and ride on a donkey? Is he
Right.
trying to swagger jack from what this actual prophecy is?
Yeah, right.
You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and it reminds me of one of my favorite words on the "So will I." If the rocks, cry out and praise you, so will I. I really love that. And I think that really, that sentiment in itself just talks about, God and how worthy of praise, that Jesus is, and how like it was almost an unstoppable event. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like talking about like that's really what he's saying. At least in my understanding of the Pharisees, it's just being like, you can try and stop all these people, but like no matter what, like this is a canon event that is going to happen. Like if they're not going to praise me, well then somebody else will, or So I love that. I think this is also the point where you really kind of get into the whole idea of the message, which is us missing Jesus. You being able to miss him. We talk about, or you talk about people praising Jesus on Palm Sunday, are the same ones at his crucifixion, or we think are a lot of the same ones that overlapping. Maybe just talk about for a minute the idea of those people missing this giant sign that says he's the Savior. So like how do they miss it? And then maybe talk about how that can kind of play with us in our day.
I just think it's because they thought it should look a certain way.
Yeah.
Like, and a lot of times when things are not the way we think they should look, then we doubt it.
Right.
And I tried to give that comparison with Tim Cook, the Apple guy. Yeah. And I know it's funny, some people are like, hey, I like Gucci and I'm not.
Yeah.
And again, some thoughts I didn't get to fully go through. But there was that picture of him and Odell Beckham Jr. going in somewhere, they were eating some po' boys.
Yeah, okay.
Right? But so I don't know if I saw this on which site, Prophets and Watches. It's one of these Instagram sites.
Yeah.
But they were just saying how Odell Beckham's watch is like, a $500,000 watch.
Right.
And Tim Cook had this. I hope I'm even getting his name right. I think it's his name.
Yeah, I think it's his name.
He's got this watch, a little Timex, probably a $30 watch, but yet he's worth $2.4 billion.
Right.
Beckham's worth $40 million. I don't know, $40 million ain't nothing to shy about. But I was trying to say that even sometimes when people that have tons of money, you wouldn't know that by actually looking at them.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying is we perceive that church, Jesus, it all should look a certain way.
Right.
And when it doesn't look the way we think it should look, then we start questioning it.
Right.
So like even as Jesus was riding in, what they were wanting their king to do, was not what Jesus came to do.
Right.
They're like, overthrow this government, make life easier for us. He's like, what I'm trying to do is so much more than that.
Yeah.
Like you're only seeing to the corner. I see around the corner.
Right.
What I'm trying to do is, my kingdom is not even of this world.
Yeah.
And they just didn't get it. So
Yeah.
I think sometimes that's what it is. And even in our prayer life, like we're praying for something, we already know the outcome we want.
Right.
A lot of times.
Yeah.
There's certain things we pray for and we're like, God, I'm praying for this, and I know what I want to happen.
Right.
And when it doesn't line up with what we think, then we're like, man, I don't know, man. Is God not there? Like, why didn't he answer it this way? Like, if we truly trust in him, and Sunday we sang, I trust in Jesus.
Right. I trust in God. Yeah.
I trust in God. Trust in God. Yeah. So such a great song. Love that song.
Love the singer.
Love the singer. Yeah.
It's his son.
Created him. But yeah, if you think about that, like if we truly trust in him, and I had this conversation with someone, I was like, man, you can't base your relationship with the Lord off what he does for you. Because if you do any personal relationship like that, it's never going to last.
Right.
If we're only homies because I'm receiving something from you, and the
Right.
moment you stop, then we got a problem.
Right. Yeah.
Like if we're homies, we're homies.
Right.
There has to be, it doesn't matter if there's any exchange.
Yeah.
And that's what it is. So sometimes our relationship with the Lord is based on, I mean, I don't know if you've done this. I prayed, God, if you help me sneak back in tonight when I was a teenager.
Yeah.
I won't sneak out anymore. Like I'm trying to make deals the whole time. Like,
yeah.
So it's not that I even had any respect for the Lord in my relationship with him. I just need you to get me out of this bind.
Yeah.
Knowing I'm going to go get in another one.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think that's how they miss it. Is like, we think it should look like this. Oh, our Savior,
Yeah.
they've heard about this. It's coming. Like, it's about to be on. Like, things are about to change.
Right.
And things change, but not like they thought.
Yeah.
Like, what the heck? This is not like what we thought it would be.
Right. Yeah. Because, maybe you can help kind of unpack the idea of, for somebody who didn't know what they were expecting, like, at the time, going through the Old Testament, going through everything, God's chosen people, they were people that were often oppressed, right? Often under, we talk about the children of Israel being back, in slavery in Egypt and wandering through the wilderness. A lot of times they were oppressed to themselves, right? And their decisions that they've made. But they were looking for almost this military, type of leader, right? Somebody that would, help overthrow. So yeah, maybe kind of talk about a little bit about what Jesus was trying to do versus, exactly what, those people were looking for.
Yeah, for sure. It really takes me back, when you mentioned Old Testament, it really takes me back to the children of Israel for a moment. I'm like, there's a point when they're delivered from Pharaoh, delivered from Egypt, and there's like, you know what, we'd be better off going back.
Right.
I'm like, hold on, like you were in slavery, you were doing all these things, like you watched the Lord go through the 10 plagues, split the Red Sea, like you're watching miracle after miracle, and you're really like, yeah, I think it'd be better if we're back there. Like we're going to starve out here. Like, again, don't even get me started. And I know hindsight, we know what to say about that. But when you look back, you're like, bro, how did they see miracle after miracle and still go like, I don't know.
Right.
Like literally food is raining down.
Right. Yeah.
Cloud by day, fire by night. Lord is showing up and you're just like, and all you can focus on is the negative.
Right.
Now, so fast forward, it just seems like, I think it's just people though. I don't think it's nothing like, oh, the Israelites were so bad. I think we can do the same thing.
Right. Yeah.
If we're not careful. Because again, they were looking for something to be done in their current situation. Jesus is like, what I'm trying to do is build a kingdom outside of this world. You're only thinking about for us, the 70 years you're going to be on this planet. I'm thinking about eternity.
Right. Yeah.
Like you're so worried about this moment in time. What I'm trying to do is so much bigger. Like you don't even get it.
Yeah.
You're worried about Roman oppression. I'm worried about the sin of man.
Right.
And connecting you back with your Father.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So it's like one of them's playing chess, the other's playing checkers.
Yeah.
Like it don't even make sense.
Yeah. And I think that was, I think a lot of people are understanding of this expression, like that. Like when you tell a joke, it goes over your head, right? And this whole concept. But can we blame them? Right?
No,
think about it. Let me open this up real quick because I wrote down a quote that you said on Sunday. It was really good. It was something along the lines of, you're thinking too small. You want Jesus to change a moment, but he wants to change your life.
Yes.
Like, oh my goodness. I thought that was really good. And how many times is that our story?
Yeah, I mean, how many times do you, and again, not to knock anybody that this has happened to, but how many times do like crisis comes in your life, you turn to the Lord, the Lord sees you through crisis, and then you go back to what life was like before he intervened.
Right.
So like you're wanting that moment to change. We're like, everything could change, your entire life, your focus, your adoration, you know what I'm saying? Like everything can change, but it's like, I really just need you to change this situation.
Yep.
It is literally sometimes the old genie in a bottle. You know what I'm saying? You're like, just get me out of this jam.
Yeah.
And Jesus is like, I want to be so much more than that.
Right.
And when you think about what you let God do in a moment, imagine if that was your life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, oh man, just what can the Lord do? But again, we miss it so many times.
Because we, like you said, we want to do it on our timing.
Yeah.
You know, our way.
For sure.
Right. And our result. Like, I mean, how many times in your life, you know, have you thanked God afterwards that he didn't answer one of your prayers, right?
No, for sure.
You know?
It's like the old movie, Bruce Almighty.
Yeah.
Remember that movie with Jim Carrey? And so he's God for a moment, and then he's like, all these prayer requests keep coming over, there's sticky notes, all this stuff, and finally he's like, yes to them all.
Yeah.
And the whole world's in chaos. Well, it's like everybody's won the lottery, there's cars, like all this stuff. So it's like, you don't even, God knows what you're praying for. Like, he knows 3 more steps. Like, you don't even need that.
Right.
And he's looking out for you by not answering that prayer.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think it's funny because you can, like, you know, go way back in the day and be like, God, if you just let me start dating this girl, you know, I don't know if someone told this story. I don't know what it is, but it's like, God, let me start dating this girl, right? And then, you know, a couple, you know, 20 years down the line, you're like, thank goodness that you didn't answer that prayer.
I mean, to be honest, especially that, when you think of date, let's talk about dating for a moment. When you're a teenager, like, you think everyone's the one.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it's so funny because, like, I know I felt that way at times. Now, of course, I finally found the one.
Right, yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But you can remember being younger and dating, you're just like, this is it. And, like, something would happen, you'd be like, life's over. There's nothing sensitive. Then all of a sudden you meet a new girl and you're like, oh my gosh, it's the best thing. Like, hold on, you just said that about the last one.
Right.
Yeah, it's so funny. But it's really on what you focus on.
Yeah.
Like if you're focusing on what God is doing, and I think even the children of Israel, even the people in Jesus' day, like they were focused on what they wanted, not what he was trying to do.
Yeah.
And I always think about this. The first car I ever wanted was a Mustang 5.0.
Okay.
Fox body back in the day, boy.
Right. Is that the same one Vanilla Ice talks about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of like that.
All right.
Yeah.
Second Vanilla Ice reference on this message.
Bro, I can remember going to a car lot I was 16, I had to be 16, like thinking I could get a car by myself.
Right.
Going on a test drive and be like, and I'm making like $30 a week. And I'd be like, so what can we do? But anyway, what I'm saying is like the moment you want, like then it ever read, like everywhere I went, I saw Mustangs everywhere.
Right, because you're looking for it.
I was looking for it. It's not that they were just more Mustangs all of a sudden. It's like you see what you're looking for.
Yeah.
And if you're looking for the way God is moving in your life, like that's what you'll see. The problem is we look for the lack.
Yep. Yeah.
And even them, like they're looking for they want the idea of a king as long as he rules and does things the way they think.
Right.
And the moment those don't line up, you're like, oh, I don't want nothing to do with that.
Yeah, right.
Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, it's crazy. Like, no, you wanted this, right? This is what you wanted?
Yeah.
Well, yeah, but I don't want it that way. Like, okay.
Right. You know, it makes me think, you know, right now, like, why did Israel want, you know, the Jewish people, why did they want this king like that? Because that's the only thing they saw as far as how a leader goes, right? They only saw that. So a part of me thinks that's a part of comparison, right? How much, and they could, you know, only see what it's in front of them. Think about our generation now, everything that we see, right? Same thing what you're saying, like you were looking for those cars, but not to date you, but only back in the day, you can only see the cars that were either on TV or in front of you.
Hey, let me tell you what, I did a wedding on Friday.
Yeah.
We talked about you're going to be getting married soon.
Right.
I was like, back in my day, unless you actually went to the wedding, you didn't know what other weddings look like.
Right.
You had nowadays.
Right. Pinterest.
Now, there's so much out there. I'm like, nowadays you can't just do a normal wedding. I mean, you could, but there's so much comparison of like the pressure of like it needs to be this whole spectacle. You know what I'm saying? It's like where again back then it's like I didn't have that. Like, only it's like and weddings were only done in a church.
Yeah.
Where nowadays it's like more weddings are done outside. Like I never thought that was even an option. I'm like, you can do that? You know what I'm saying?
Right. Yeah. And there's so many more, and so like. Now, you know, you have this idea of what God wants to do in your life because you're comparing it to this, right?
Well, if you go back in the Old Testament, remember, originally they didn't have a king over Israel.
Right.
And the people's like, we want a king like everyone else.
Right.
And God's trying to tell them, like, I don't know that you do, bro. Because, like, once you get man involved, no matter how great man is.
Right. Still falls, still flawed and human. And, like, if you want a king, I'll give you one. But, like,
it may not be all that it's cracked up to be.
Right. Yeah. It's one of those things too, where it's like, I think it's funny, you hear about, different like parenting stories and tactics where they'll be like, my kid wants to eat candy for breakfast. Right. And so they keep asking every day, candy for breakfast, candy for breakfast. So finally I gave it to them and they felt terrible. Yeah. And now they know, you know what I mean? Yeah. Like, why do we have to learn that way sometimes?
Well, I wish I knew that, man. As much work as I do with teenagers, it's like, it's funny. I was talking to a parent the other day. I was like, our kids don't realize that we were teenagers one time.
Right.
And those same things you're trying to pull on us, like we pulled on our parents.
Yeah.
But we always think our parents don't get it. Like we always forget. Like there was a day they were trying to do the same things we were.
Yeah.
So I'm like, try that. Let's see. You know what I'm saying? It's like, bro, I know all the schemes.
Yeah.
Why? Because we were all there one time. Mm-hmm. And so many times, there's nothing worse than telling someone something and being like, no, it's different. You're like,
all right.
Oh, I'm telling you. Sometimes you got to learn the hard way.
Don't touch the stove. Yes. Yeah, exactly. Same stove. Yeah, it's classic, but it's true. Okay, let me give you another good classic movie reference. Okay. Makes me think of Daniel's son and Mr. Miyagi, right? Yes. Let's think about this, for example. The method, right? What did Daniel's son want to learn? Karate. Hopefully it's karate, not kung fu. Hopefully, I think it's karate. It's Karate Kid.
Karate.
Yeah,
it's not
Kung Fu Kid. So he wants to learn karate, right? And so what does he think that looks like? He thinks it's a class. It's you hit here, you hit here, you do it like this. And Mr. Miyagi's like, go wax on, wax off. And he's like, what are you talking about? But then finally, as the movie progresses, like he realizes all of this was, and it makes me think of how we are with God sometimes,
Yeah. I love that backyard scene.
Yeah.
Whenever Daniel's mad and he's like his shoulder and he's like, boom. And he's like, and then he's like, paint a fence. He does all that. And then all of a sudden he looks at him and Miyagi just goes off and he blocks it off. I was like, bro. And in that moment, like you can just see him going, stop playing. I learned all of that and didn't even know what was happening.
Right, exactly. Yeah, it's like, it's us. It's our story. God is building you, whether you put yourself in the dirt, right? Or God is no matter what it is, God's going to be able to use that season, right? Anyways, that's really good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's go into the next part of your message. God's timing is perfect, right? You kind of went into that part a little bit. How Jesus often told people, my time has not yet come, right? And even as he performed miracles, that speaks to the idea, that God's timing is always perfect.
Yeah.
And you even talked about how Jesus at times withdrew to solitude or told people to remain quiet about his miracles. Like he blessed somebody and be like, don't tell nobody. And you kind of explain why he did that, right? And the reasoning behind, because let's put it in our eyes, for example. Let's say so you do a lot of bits, right?
Yes.
So we go to, we've been on a lot of ventures together, you and I. We've gone to, Belize several times over, and you always learn these new tricks, right? So I think the first one was juggling.
Juggling, yeah.
Maybe. Okay, so he taught me how to juggle, so I probably surpassed him in juggling skills.
We could have a juggle off on here one day.
One day. Okay. And then, you also learned how to do recently balloon animals, right? And you'll have card tricks as well, and many more to come as well, right?
Yes.
And a lot.
I'm always a student.
Always a student, right? But let's say you learn how to do these things, like you would be flexing them at every opportunity that you can, right? Because you know how to do these skills, you know how to do these things. Now imagine you could perform miracles, right?
Yeah.
Would we not want everybody to know? You know what I mean? Would we not want to be like, wow, right? You'd get up there and you do all these things. Why? Like, that's just human nature. That's how we are. Like, how is it that Jesus was able to do it and be like, don't tell nobody?
Well, I think when you realize, again, it's seeing the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Of Jesus knew that there was a timing to this thing.
Yeah.
And it did line up with those different prophecies that were happening. Like, this is all part of God's plan. So it was a certain time for everything to happen.
Yeah. And
Jesus knew, like, if his following got too big, too crazy, that the people were going to push for something before the time was ready.
Right.
So I think there was the God's timing aspect. I think he was continuing to disciple the disciples, you know what I'm saying, to make sure they're ready, because he knew, like, you're going to carry the church forward. Like, I can imagine, it's almost like, again, if I go to NBA, it's almost like you see this guy, not even NBA, maybe he's a G Leaguer, maybe he's college, this guy's got so much skill. Like, I know what's going to happen down the road for you. If you just trust me and continue working, I can see what's going to happen.
Right.
And Jesus knew, like, for Christianity to continue throughout the earth when he was gone, like, it's going to take men to push that forward.
Right.
Like, those disciples were going to be on the front lines of this.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So he's like, it's all about timing. When the time is right, And he knew that when he hit this week, like it was on.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? And even though, and I talked about there's the 3 scriptures in John where he's like, my hour's not come yet. Like, it's not time, guys.
Yeah.
Because they want him to go like, you're right. With what he's doing, he could literally, it seems like he could get everybody on his side.
Yeah.
And he's like, but it's not even what it's about.
Right.
But in man's eyes, you're like, it would almost be like, you got a lot of good, like you got a social media with all these influencers. You're like, hey, I don't want to get this many followers. Like it's not about the number of followers. It's about what I'm trying to do. And there's going to come a time that it's really going to pop off and be crazy. I was listening to another pastor on this podcast. And he was talking about, he's preaching a lot right now on sin. And he said, so a lot of people think I'm this sin preacher. Now he's got a ton of following. Everybody's watching him. He's like, what you don't know is the Lord told me to start in Matthew. He goes, when I started in Matthew going through the genealogy, you could get to church 30 minutes late and the place was half empty.
Yeah.
So it's not like I'm this sin preacher. Yeah. I'm literally following through the whole book as the Lord commanded. You just jumped in the middle.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And Jesus is like, look, this is the journey we're on. And again, throughout this journey, his journey was always to get to Jerusalem at that time to give up his life for ours.
Right.
Now, through that, luckily we get the accounts of seeing. He encounters a woman at the well. He does the 2 5 loaves and 2 fish. Yeah, like all these stories intertwined through it. But that's like, it's almost like you're on a road trip. We've been on road trips. We've been on plane trips. Like, between here and Vegas, like what happens between our goal is there, but there may be other things that happen during that. Right, yeah. And he's like, I'm not trying to accelerate what's happening because there's an appointed time. Yeah, right. You know what I'm saying? And I think that was hard for his disciples because, again, it's almost like in any church, in any ministry, like we can do so many things, right? Like we've been blessed here at LS Church. We have facilities and great leadership. We could do so many things, but like, what is God calling us to? Right. And it's not like any of those things are bad. We could start 10 different programs on whatever, but like, it's not what God is asking us to do. It's almost like Jesus was like, I feel like he was always trying to tell me that, like, I'm on a mission here. I'm not, it's not that I don't have nothing better to do today. Yeah. Like my mission is to get to this cross. Yeah. Now in that, I'm going to heal people and I'm going to do this, but I'm not doing this because I want everybody to like, at this time to look to me. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? So it's crazy to think that he would heal people and say, hey, just go and just keep it to yourself. Yeah. Like, ain't nobody, stop playing. Ain't nobody going to get healed and not tell somebody. Right. Yeah. You know what I mean? So it's like, even the woman at the well, like when she had that revelation, what does it say? She goes back and she brings everybody that'll come back. Yeah. Right. And not that he told her to be, but it's just like in that moment, like it's almost like, I don't know if it can happen. Right. Now, nowadays it would be like, in our culture nowadays, like, I often use it like if you go to a restaurant. Like everybody talks about the bad restaurant experience. Yeah. Very seldomly do you hear a really good one. Right. It seems like negativity is talked more sometimes on that front, but it would kind of be like that. Like you've had this amazing experience and like, but how do you not share that? Right. I get what Jesus, I get the idea, but I'm like, I can imagine like being healed of leprosy or something happens and like, keep that to yourself. I'm like, bro, I'm about to walk around like, look. Yeah, look. You know what I mean? Like, absolutely. But it really was a timing issue. He's like, look, man, the Father has a mission. Like I'm fulfilling his will, not mine. Right. You know what I'm saying? So it makes you think like, could Jesus have went off script? Maybe. Yeah. But he was so tuned in with what his Father wanted. He's like, this is the mission. Yeah. You know what I mean? Right. Yeah. And it's like you said, like, we talked about what it'd be like, in our eyes, but think about in modern day, what Christianity is anyways, like, you tell the story, right? Whatever it is, whatever Jesus delivered you from, whatever turnaround, whatever flip happened, your testimony, right? Like we share that. But like you said, the bigger picture at the time was, which is crazy that, hindsight, right? And hindsight, like the disciples, like, it doesn't make sense. Like, why is he not, and it reminds me too, I don't know I can't remember the exact story. Maybe you'll be able to help out. But, there was a time where Jesus was like sharing with a crowd of people and then like he was sharing and they were like, oh, this is really good. And then he like kept sharing and he started to lose them. And, he started like saying to them some outlandish things, right? And, we know now what he meant by it because we have some context, but like the disciples were like, what are you doing? Like you're losing the crowd. And he's like, it doesn't matter. You know what I mean? Like, and he's like, did you understand what I was saying? And he really like took time to spend with them. But like, it really, like you said, it really just makes you think that Jesus was never about this like
the numbers and gaining this following and gaining this, mass appeal, but really keeping the message pure and the sticking to the plan that God had for him. And I think that is a huge piece that we can take from now, especially with the emphasis on going viral, right?
Yeah.
And going and gaining all these followers, like you were saying, like that is a huge thing that we can learn and be able to see now is that like, what has God actually called you to do, right?
Right.
Because the world wants you to get as much as you can out of it, to, like get everything that you can, like, milk as much as you can out of the whole internet process, whatever it is, right? But, I think a lot of times for us, you can even think about this for churches too, like you said, your church can add all of these things, bam, 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 bam. You as a person can do all these things, bam, 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 right? But like, what has God actually called you to do? Because it would actually simplify really well, right? We talk about, we go to a lot of food places together as well, right?
Yeah.
A lot of fast food chains. I think of In-N-Out Burger, which is great. We just got one in Webster. It's awesome.
Let's go.
Cane's Chicken Fingers, right?
Yeah.
What are those two have in common? Like small menu. Right.
Small menu, yeah.
Exactly. Because they focus on what they're called to do, right?
Yeah.
So as funny as it sounds, In-N-Out Burger is called to like 5 menu items, right?
Yes.
But guess what? That's less to manage, and they can do really, really well.
Yes.
And I think that's so apparent in our life. I mean, you're in the food industry. You know how that works.
Nothing
Big
makes
menu.
me more nervous than a big menu. I'm like pages and pages. What that translates to is frozen. You know what I'm saying? Like there's no way you can keep all that on deck. Let's be honest.
Yeah, for sure. So yeah, I think that's a big thing too, because disciples, everybody, it's just this funny thing of just being like, you can do all of that, right? But like, what has God really called you to do? And that's harder. It's harder at first, I think, to really sit down and reevaluate and ask yourself that question and not lean on your own understanding, than to just pick up what everybody else is doing.
Yeah, but do you know the pressure it takes off of you?
Yeah.
Like, let's talk about Refill for a moment. We love Refill. We have that normally last Friday of every month.
Yeah, Refill's our youth and young adult service. Last Friday of every single month. Yeah,
it's so great. And again, I remember when we started it a little over a year ago.
Yeah.
We did one. We weren't sure if it was going to work.
Right.
And just bringing everybody together once a month. And we used to do, again, there's nothing wrong with this. So nothing wrong with giveaways. And we used to post, hey, we're giving away tickets to the Astros.
Right.
We're doing all this. And again, nothing wrong with that. But when we made this shift to go, not that we're not going to have giveaways, we're not going to have fun things, but like, what Refill really is a 3-hour church service, sometimes 5 hours. Right? We went till midnight before.
Yeah.
So it's a really long church service, and all we want now is for Jesus to show up.
Right.
So we're going to have some type of snack. We're going to have some fun. We don't even plan that. So what I'm saying is sometimes the pressure for you to perform and go, oh, our giveaway's got to be really good. Like we don't want people here for the giveaway. We want people here because they know God's going to show up.
Yeah.
And when God shows up, it doesn't matter if every song was perfect. It doesn't matter what the snack was that night. That's all you care about.
Right.
And once I think even us as the leaders and the team that puts on Refill go, the most important thing for us is the Lord showing up.
Right.
So like, yeah, we're going to set up we set up the basketball goals and ping pong, but like, we don't really care about that.
Yeah.
Not in a bad way. We don't really care. Like, we want God to show up.
Right.
So now the pressure is no longer on how can we make it really cool?
Right.
The cool thing is when God shows up.
Right.
So when we pray and we get everything in the spirit prepared for that service, like we spend more time there than we do on making sure everything's pretty.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Not that that's not important. I get it. So, but there's a fine line there of being like, it's the Mary Martha. You can work really hard or you can spend time with the Lord.
Right.
So if we make that room look phenomenal, when we give away a brand new car, like to the person that wants it, yeah, sure, that'll mean something to them. But like, it doesn't matter. If God doesn't show up, who cares what we did that night?
Yeah, that's true.
What I mean?
And I think too, we talk about the Refill in the kind of the transition of the method, right? That also changed, not only to take pressure off of us, but it changed the expectation of the students that were coming, right?
Yes.
Because when you market, we got all this besides the main part you're doing it for, which is like the opportunity to encounter, Jesus. Like, then they're showing up for that. And then they can leave a Yelp review on how it was good. Was it good based on, you know what I mean?
Right.
What was marketed to me or what it seemed like, which again brings us back expectation, what the expectation is.
You know what else is crazy? So we were talking about this about our meeting Sunday after service and a quick refill meeting. And based on the numbers, last year, after the first couple, it kind of declines a little bit. This year, every refill has gotten bigger.
Yeah.
And it is really, again, it's just I hate to say like a long church service, but it is. Like there's hours of worship, there's ministry time, there's prayer. Like,
just for reference, it starts doors open at 7, and we don't have an end time. Like church, church on Sunday, like we're like, from 10:30 to noon. Like refills like from 7 to 10:30 p.m.
Technically.
Right? We do a soft ending, right? Yeah.
And there's, the junior hires, parents will be out there, but it's not uncommon to be 11:30 and to still be praying with people. And,
especially if it's an outside service.
Yeah, we had an outside testimony service. The kids waited in lines for 2 hours to just give their testimony.
Just to share.
Yeah, so it's so cool. But again, it changed the whole perspective of everyone. And I like knowing students come there like you're signing, like you're coming in knowing this. And I've known students in the crowd that, I'm trying to judge them, but like they're not super bought into church life.
Yeah.
And I see them sit there for the entire service.
Yeah.
And it goes along with this. How? Because he said, if I'm lifted up, I will draw all men unto me. So it's like the draw of the Spirit in those moments.
Yep.
It's what's keeping them there. It's not because, and again, our band's phenomenal, but it's not just because the band or the speaker. It's really because what God is doing in those moments, like it captivates you.
Yep.
And and the Holy Spirit is working on the inside of you. And like those moments you would think like, man, I don't know. Is everybody going to leave? And you look around and like, there's so many people still here, and it's just everybody's praying and crying and talking to the Lord. So it's really cool.
Yeah, let's talk about our core values for a second, because it reminds me of the core values. We got one on that wall right there that says excellence is our example, right? And I think that like what you're saying, like when it takes the pressure off of you, is because we love really well produced things. Right?
Yes,
at the end of the day,
100%.
TV shows, music, whatever it is, movies, like we just love really good productions. Why? Because it's really cool. And does Jesus deserve your best? Absolutely, right? He definitely does. But at the end of the day, it depends on what, is the heart behind it and what's all the effort going to, right? Like you're saying, like how much are you putting into what do you judge the night being good off of?
Right.
Right? Like, wow, the service was great. We had great transitions. The band played every song flawlessly. They all hit the chords, and the speaker had a good message with some good claps and response, a big laugh at the beginning, and ended right on time. Like, man, that was great. Like, you might have missed it then, Yeah. I think that's a a thing too. Like you said, based on what your heart is behind it. It takes the pressure off you, and it changes the expectation of what you're trying to get out of the night.
But that's how so many of them missed it, right? Their expectation of Jesus was different. If you come going, man, refill, I hope they do a good giveaway. There's been times we've had giveaways, and we've learned now we can't do anything after service because service never ends sometimes. But if you came to get something, you may walk around and go, man, this thing was lame. Like, they didn't give anything away.
Yeah, right. If you came for, it's the name. What's the name of the service? So the name of the service ain't giveaway night. You know what I mean? It's refill.
But that's how they missed it, because they were like, oh, our king is coming. You know what it means? It means the Roman Empire is going to get theirs. We're not going to be the big dogs. And it's like, none of that's the case.
Right. Right. Let's jump into that part, because I think that's the next part that follows, in your message is, missing the mark because of expectation. We talked about that, but I liked how you spoke about, you were like, through in Jesus' time, including the people that were closest to him, right? You talk about how James is like his brother that then goes on to be like, oh, that was Jesus, the Messiah the whole time. But like, they didn't recognize him because their expectation was based on, like we said, appearance. So he would get name called like, oh, that's just a carpenter's boy. Or like it says, nothing good can come out of Nazareth. That's Mary's boy. That's the carpenter's son. Like,
that's
how
crazy
wild.
To think that.
Stop playing.
Bruh. Think about that. Could you imagine like, and I try to think like, where would you want to do the most things at? In your hometown? Like I would think Jesus would be partial to his hometown.
Right, like you said, we love the NBA. We watch a lot of NBA players. When the NBA players that grew up in bad neighborhoods they always go back every Christmas. Right. I'm handing out turkeys. Yes. I'm the hometown boy. You think about, I know this is LeBron. You're Michael Jordan. I'm a LeBron guy. But you think about LeBron. I'm just a kid from Akron, Ohio. Right. How much does Akron rep LeBron? You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
It's like the home. It's like, could you imagine? Let's talk sports.
Yeah.
Baseball, football, basketball, whatever you want to talk. Imagine the hometown guy if the hometown didn't like him.
Right. We live in Alvin. Nolan Ryan. Yeah. He's a pitcher.
Nolan Ryan. Oh, you talking the guy played for the Alvin?
Right.
Oh,
yeah. Exactly.
That's crazy. You wouldn't do that anywhere else.
Right.
You throw a parade for your, you're proud. Like, we got a no-line statue over there. Why? It's like, he's ours.
Yeah.
And Jesus comes back home and they're like, get out of here.
Yeah.
I'm like, what?
And you think it's the most significant person to ever walk this earth.
Yeah. Just because he made you a table don't mean he can't heal you. You know what I'm saying? I'm like, you actually would get the benefit of both of him.
Yeah.
Both worlds. You get the fleshly side of him of being a carpenter's son.
Yeah.
Like, he could build you a bed, then raise you out of it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, that's crazy. And they don't even, there's nothing that can happen. I referenced Sunday but how many times has that happened in our life? Like, we've given our life to the Lord, and we're still known as who we were before then.
Yep.
And don't get me wrong, I understand, it says, those seeds you sow, sometimes are still coming back to harvest. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes that's the hardest thing there is to, I don't know, convince the people closest to you, I'm not that guy anymore.
Right. And
it's hard when you got homies who you may have done things that weren't uplifting to the Lord, and now you're trying to step away from that, and just sometimes you think you're better than us. You little goody two shoes now, and you're like, bro, it's not any of that. I'm different. To me, it was always sometimes hard to explain. The guy that bent down at an altar and kneeled down and prayed is not the guy that stood up. And I know I look the same, and I know I'm still, I still may talk a little bit the same, but I'm trying to continue, and Jesus continues to purify you. But sometimes that's the hardest people to reach, is the people that know you the best.
Right.
Because I'm just waiting on you to mess. And it's crazy because they wait on you to mess up.
Yeah.
It's not encouraging you sometimes.
Yeah, it's crabs in a bucket sometimes.
Yeah.
You want to pull them down because what? Like you said, you think you're better than us?
Yeah.
And I think, like you said, sometimes that's a problem with us, at church. And, people that sat in the same message with us on Sunday, we go to lunch and you try to, live out a little bit what they're saying. They're like, what? They're like, what are you doing? Why are you acting so different? You're like, you were in the same message. You know what this is. I'm trying,
Yeah, we're trying to be better.
Yeah, that's such a, I think you say a lot, when you talk about messages and things like that, you're like, Jesus couldn't do work in his own hometown, right? I mean, even that idea really just kind of stays with you. And it kind of puts some perspective for us too. Like, if we want to be seen different when God makes a mark in our life, right? And we want to be able to, we got to do the same thing. We got to see others differently. We got to give others the same grace that, we were given,
for sure.
Because if someone's like, hey man, I just want to let you know, I'm sorry for how I was, and I'm sorry, it reminds me, we watched The Office. Office is a funny TV show. Ryan on The Office, I don't even know if we're going to keep this in the podcast. I'm just going to talk about it. But I think at one point, he's he broke a window in Kevin's car or something like that. And he's like, man, that guy I used to be, he's like, I'm really just, I'm like, he messed me up too, man. Like, I'm sorry if he messed me up too. And Kevin's like, you broke a window in my car. Like, are you going to fix that? He goes, if I have to keep answering for what he did, man, I'm going to have it reminds me of the same thing too. I mean, that's a funny example, but it's like, when we do try to change and we do want to be able to, walk in a different light. We got to give the same grace to other people too. Yeah,
for sure. And there's also, I think, a measure of when we're doing that is we need to, again, I think there's a difference between actually walking it out and sometimes we don't do a good job at that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So on one hand, it's like the old saying, you're speaking out of both sides of your mouth. On one hand, it's like, I'm really trying to change, but I'm doing all the same things.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Me, I've been on a workout journey for 50 years.
Let's go.
And I even went last night. I went to Costco last night, got fish, got chicken, got broccoli.
There you go, meal prepping. Yeah.
But the truth is, if I want to get in shape, I need to do something about it. I don't need to think about it. I can buy the food, but I need to eat, I need to work out. So what I'm saying is even sometimes in our walk with the Lord, sometimes we like the idea of it, but we really don't want to execute it.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? So again, I love what you're saying. We need to have grace for everyone else and grace for ourselves, but we also got to be man, you got to wake up every day and choose to pick up your cross.
Yeah.
This world is full of temptations and things that are trying to bring you down, but you got to make a conscious decision of God, I'm going to live for you today.
Yeah.
And again, does that mean we always get it right? No, but I'm just saying there's times in my life where I like the idea of it. I like the benefits of being in this club of Jesus as my Lord and Savior, but I'm I feel like the price is too much. I don't know if I want to pay that. I kind of want to look at what I want to look, talk how I want to talk, and do all these things.
Right.
So I'm saying sometimes we even hurt ourselves in that way. That it's easy to talk about it. You know what I'm saying? I used to say, you need to walk the walk, not just talk the talk.
Yeah.
And but I even think that is and that's why I don't get about Jesus in his hometown. Like, they heard all this, they seen all this. Don't tell me they didn't get word back. Like, like the Carpenter's son. Like, yeah, he literally. Do you remember Tommy? Tommy can walk now. Yeah. They'd be like, stop. Ain't no way Tommy's walking. Yeah. Tommy come running by. And I want to know what is there.
Right. What was the convincing factor?
Well, I mean. Right. Like what?
Yeah, exactly. He would look like he was getting better on his own. It's like whatever the excuse is.
But even for Jesus, who we know had lived a sinless life, so we know he was the real deal around there.
Yeah.
But and sometimes it's discouraging in the fact of like, you can be the real deal, and some people are never going to see you for who God sees you as.
Yeah.
Which is heartbreaking to think that, but it doesn't mean we don't continue to be Jesus with skin on, as people say. We continue to walk around and go, I'm going to honor the Lord in the way I talk, the way I act. But again, there's also, I think, a shift in that too, that it's beautiful when because I think people that know you the best should respect you the most.
Right.
So there comes a point that whenever crisis, like we talked about, crisis hits those people, a lot of times they reach out to you and go, hey, I know you're different. I know you pray.
Yeah.
This is what's happening.
Yeah.
So like there is that exchange in some point of realizing, even though the people that bust on you sometimes, they'll be like, hey man, can you pray about this?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
It's true.
Which is cool to see that. Why? Because they're watching you live it out in real time. And I love the realness of that, of people being close to you who don't follow the Lord and going like, I don't know if I believe in it, but I see what it's doing in your life.
Yeah.
I want that.
Yeah, all you got to do is just keep, you think about that too with, people in your life that don't follow the Lord, right? And you think of yourself like, what am I doing? Do I go every single day and I preach to them until they they don't want to listen to me anymore? And sometimes it's just, you just walk and you are, you know what I mean? You walk in, the way that God's asked you to walk in,
For sure.
I think that's good. Let's talk about Peter for a second. I think this was a powerful moment, but it also was a funny moment to me, which is when Peter had this great revelation, right? And Jesus is like, wow, like you see me as, the Son of God, like that idea alone, we're going to, it's going to build the church on. And then like, I don't know, a couple verses later, it's like, hey, Jesus, you're not going to go through all that. You're going to do this, whatever. And he's like, get behind thee, Satan. You're like, whoa, they flip just like that.
That's fighting words, it seems like.
Yeah, right.
Jesus.
Right, so how Peter's, denial of Jesus, just moments before, just shows how easy it goes, between being, bold in faith and, faltering doubt like that too.
Yeah, it's crazy when you think about that of the revelation of like, and he's like, it's here in Matthew, and he says that my Father in heaven revealed this to you. Like this is revelation from the Lord that you know who I am. And then for him to be like, but I know, I want to think I know Peter for, like I understand the heart is like, Jesus is like, once again, predicting what's going to happen, telling them what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Like, ain't no way that's going to you know what I'm saying? And like, so I think but that shows you how serious Jesus was about this plan.
Right.
He's like, we're homies. We just revealed that we're going to build my church on the thought of what you just know who I am. God reveals to you. But however, if you get in the way of the mission God's put, get behind me, Satan.
Right.
Like Satan.
Yeah.
Like that's crazy.
Yeah, that's the lowest of the low, right?
Yeah,
I'm trying to equate it to like a real life scenario, like you said, like like me and you, right? Like you got this good idea for a business, right? And you're pitching it to me. Yeah. You're like, hey, we can do this, we can do this, we can do this, and I'm like, yeah, and we can do this, whatever. And you're like, oh, that's a revelation from the Lord that you got that idea. And then you're like, but before we open up this clothing company.
Hey, shout out Current Clothing.
Shout out Clothing, yeah. So before we open up this clothing company, here's what I gotta do. I gotta declare bankruptcy and go into debt or whatever it is. You have this master plan. And I'm like, nah, you're not gonna do that. I'm trying to be, if we're trying to say we know Peter, maybe he's trying to be encouraging, right? Or maybe he's trying to be like, no, you don't gotta do any of that. You're like, hey, like, you need to back up because this is the plan, and I'm serious about my business. Yeah.
So that's definitely, he took a shot, bro.
Yeah, he did for sure. So it makes me think, sometimes, how Peter did feel in that moment, and Peter felt like, Jesus really had, him get in the way. Like, how can sometimes we get in the way of, God's plan for us and things like that?
Yeah, man, I think that's easy for me.
Yeah.
I think I always get in the way.
Yeah.
I get in the way a lot because I feel like a lot, I used to, I think I did a message, something about this one time, or I said it in a message. I really like Paul. right?
Yeah.
Saul to Paul. I love the conversion. I love how Paul's just the man.
And he's like gritty.
Yeah, I'm like, bro, I used to be like, I'm Paul, bro. I'm Paul.
Yeah.
But I'm like, bro, I got so many Peter tendencies. You know what I mean? As we know, as we go further into the story of, Peter saying, I'll die right alongside with you, da-da-da-da. And he's like, bro, you're going to deny me 3 times before the rooster even crows.
Yeah.
And I can just imagine him going, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way. Are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And he means it in that moment.
Right.
But when life hit, he's like, I don't know that dude.
Yeah.
Just the thought of that. But it makes you go, how? Right? And I used to think that about church people. I've been in this game for a minute. And I used to think people that left church or left the Lord, I'm like, bro, they suckers. How does God show up, do amazing things in your life, and you turn your back on the Lord? How?
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Right. In that moment, no, it doesn't.
It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Now I did that.
Yeah.
Okay. So I would have been the poster child for those people are losers. There's no way you can follow the Lord and turn your back on Him. That's impossible. And then I found myself at home on the couch and not going to church, not praying, any of those things. And I'm like, I become the thing that I thought I would never be. I was Peter going, I'll never deny you, Lord. You know what I'm saying? How quick the tides can turn, and you're like, oh. Yeah. And then afterwards, you have a lot of grace and compassion of going man, sometimes life is hard and things hit you, and you just make the wrong decision. In those moments, you deny what you knew to be true. Right. Well, your feelings are hurt, or this happened. Take the circumstance, and all that's valid, but I'm like, I still walked away from the Lord. Right. So when I look at Peter and I think about, again, the heart was right of what he wanted to do. He wanted to protect the Lord. He loved the Lord. I believe all those things. And but sometimes what God is asking us to do, it just don't match up again with, it's our perception of what it is. Right. And God wants you to do something or you've prayed something and the outcome wasn't how you wanted. Yeah. I don't know how many times I've talked to people that are I was praying in serious situations and I feel like the Lord didn't show up in that moment. And rightfully so. There's tough things that happen in life. Yeah. And how do you answer that? And I can remember being young in ministry, man, and people would lose someone or something really traumatic would happen. And I felt like I was trying to take up for the Lord in a sense. Yeah, and defend Him. And you're trying to be well, God's got a plan. And I truly believe that. But and I've learned now, when things like that happen, the best thing to do is just be there with people. You don't have to say anything. Again, what the Holy Spirit can do in someone's life is better than anything I can say. Right. And I've learned for myself, keep your mouth shut, dog. Again, let the Lord lead you in those moments. Don't feel like you got to defend the Lord. Yeah. But let the Holy Spirit minister to people. Yeah. And it's not so much on that I have to have all the perfect words. And I think Peter was just a passionate guy that's at the heart of it all, he's I want to protect Jesus. I love Him. Yeah. But however, it shows any of us in moments like that when pressure's applied. It's that Mike Tyson thing. Everyone has a plan. Everyone has a plan. You get punched in the mouth. All that goes out of the window. You don't know who you are. And Pastor James talks about this a lot. You know who you are in your faith. What about when people don't agree with you? Yeah. And it's in those moments of turmoil, you find out who you really are. Right. And Peter, in that moment when they were questioning him, aren't you one of his followers? No, I don't know that dude. He had a moment. Yeah. And again, that don't make him a bad person. Right. We all have those moments. Yeah. I had one of those moments for about 9 months of just not following the Lord. And thank the Lord, there's redemption on the other side of that. Right. And the hardest person on you in those moments is yourself. Yeah. Forget about even the hometown people, everybody that knows you is ooh, he's not going to church. He's no one's harder on you than you are yourself. And they say the prodigal son too. Yeah. Right? It's all that thrown into one. It's a gumbo of of self-doubt and, just dogging on yourself of I thought I could never walk into another. I'm going to be one of those people. Yeah. Right. Right. Yeah. I am one of those people right now. How do I come back from this? And I can remember going into a church and being sitting on the back row and no lightning, no anything. I'm in here, but I thought that was it. Right. You think in those moments when you truly mess up and you feel I feel like I let Jesus down. Yeah. 100%. Now forget all the people that were involved. Yeah. But the Lord Himself, I'm bro, I blew this thing. Yeah. I didn't deserve anything the Lord was doing to begin with. it's almost like you had a really good job and you just like walked out.
Yeah.
Like, they ain't hiring you back.
Right. Yeah.
And then it's like, no, you can come back and be like, bro, that's a trick. Bro, no.
Yeah.
You want me here so you can fire me.
Yeah.
And so even coming back to the Lord, I think that's, you go further in Peter's story, you see that of he goes back fishing. Why? Like, he goes back to what he knew and who he was.
Yeah.
Like the greatest opportunity of my life, I just literally blew it. Mm-hmm. There's no coming back from that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
I felt the same way. Mm-hmm. I don't even remember the exact question that got us here now.
But it's Peter.
But it's really true. It's Peter I understand when people say, I can't believe you went back fishing. I'm like, no, I can't believe it. I went back to the couch.
Yeah.
Like you go back to what you know.
Yeah.
And you sit there and go, and you play it over in your head constantly. Like I can imagine him going like, I don't know if this is true, but I can imagine him going like, I told Jesus I would die for him.
Yeah.
And I denied him. He was right 3 times.
Yeah.
3 different times. The first time, normally, I don't know about you, but normally I'm like, all right, if I miss it on the first one, like, all right, I'm going to get it on the second one, Lord.
Yeah.
All right, the third one, for real, Jesus.
Yeah.
For real on this one. Like, nope.
Yeah.
And then it's like, oh, man, and I don't know if, I can remember the Passion of the Christ when it came out, again, way back in the day.
Yeah.
But there's a moment in there when Peter denies him and Jesus lock eyes.
Yeah.
In that movie. And I don't know that that's actually how it played out, but like in that moment, you're just like, oh my gosh, like soul crushing.
Yeah.
He's right.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But again, so I think that happens a lot to people. A lot of people are going like I even talked to someone Sunday. This is gonna blow you away. I think it'll blow you away. You're gonna say stop playing.
Okay.
There's a volunteer that's their work schedule's been crazy, and they ain't been to church in about 2 months. Mm-hmm. And because they've just had to work all these crazy shifts. And he's like, even this morning, I was like, I don't know if I should go because I haven't been here in so long. Mm-hmm. Maybe I shouldn't even go. And he started praying, and he goes, I felt better. I'm like, I need to go. But like, even in that moment, a sold out volunteer, just because life has been crazy, even in that moment, the enemy wants to slip in and go,
right,
you ain't been here in a while.
You
Maybe
don't deserve to go back.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, how easy it is that it would almost be like if you're the star player on a team and you're like, Coach, I need a break.
Yeah.
He just go out to the locker room like, anybody seen this cat? Like, it's third quarter, and you're like, they ain't nowhere. It's like we take ourselves out.
Yeah.
So, and I know we talked a little bit about the enemy, and I'm sure we'll get to that, but like, even in that, like he can just put a thought in our head and we do the rest.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, so here's a great volunteer who was like, I'm gonna be honest, man, I thought about not coming today just because I haven't been here in a while. And I'm like, he goes, I know it's crazy because I know you guys are my family, but there was a moment there that I wrestled with like, should I even come today?
Yeah.
And it's not like he turned his back, like his work schedule's been, you know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
That's just one instance. So how many other people feel that way on the reg of like, man, I don't know if I can do this. I don't know if I should do that. And we just totally disconnect.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Yeah, let's jump into that. Let's talk about, us giving the enemy too much credit too.
Yeah.
I know you talked about this a lot, and you talk about, I remember you in the sermon you were talking about, these times in church, back in the day. Like
testimony service.
Testimony service, yeah. Well, go ahead.
Man, I've been in several churches back in, you always, like, just so you know, that was a part of every service.
Yeah.
You would, you would say, does anybody got a special? And they'd go take their cassette back to the booth, and you would cue it up. And they would also always have a time for testimonies to share what God was doing. But so many times it would be like, the enemy's beating me up today. This is happening, and this. And again, I kind of did it really quick, but I was like, hey, it's not that I don't believe. I believe in spiritual, all those. I believe in it all. Okay.
Yeah.
I'm down with it all. But I'm saying sometimes the things we're fighting we're giving the enemy credit for things he has nothing to do with. And I can imagine him sitting back being like, sweet.
Yeah, right.
Like, I ain't do any of that. Like, again, I joked around about even God's will in the parking spaces in HEB. Like, sometimes there's some that we think, like, when things aren't going our way, the enemy is just attacking.
Yeah.
Maybe you didn't plan well for what's going on in your life. And you're like, oh, no, this is attacking the enemy. Like, is it really?
Yeah. Right.
And again, only you know that, but I'm just saying, like we throw around that like anything that don't go the way we want, it's the enemy attacking.
Right.
Like, for real.
Right.
I'll stop playing. Like is that is the enemy attacking me and not making me go to the gym, or am I just not going?
Right. Yeah. I just feel, yeah. Exactly.
Like, you know what? I would really be in shape if the enemy wasn't on me all the time and putting honey buns in front of me. Where do honey buns come from? Well, I got them at HEB, and so they're sitting on the counter. Yeah. Oh, so you brought the enemy into your house, set it on the counter, and now you're surprised you're eating it. You know what I'm saying? Like,
right.
Bro. So I'm just saying, like, I think sometimes we give the enemy so much credit that he don't even deserve.
Right.
And some of that's because it's easier than admitting, like, I dropped the bag.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, I do believe there's demonic forces, there's all those things. And I do believe the enemy is out to steal, kill, and destroy, but sounding like a roaring lion and actually being one is two different things.
Right.
And if we know that we have the power that raised Christ from the dead, that lives within inside of us, is there anything he can really do to us? I mean, for real.
Right.
And I find it crazy, and I'm not, I'm trying to open myself up. I know I'm spitting a lot when I'm talking, I apologize.
Passionate.
But I'm not trying to open myself up for spiritual attacks, but like, and again, I know they're real, but I'm saying there's some of those things I've never dealt with personally, because I'm crazy enough to believe if God said it, I believe it.
Right.
And I believe I have dominion over those things.
Right.
And again, I don't think I'm better than anyone else. I don't think I've got it figured out more than anyone else. I'm working every day to try to get this thing down. But I'm like, I just believe, God, if you've given me the power over those things, like there's no room for those in my life. Now, don't get me wrong, I got a list of other things I'm working through. But sometimes we give the devil so much credit. And I try not to do that. I'm like I just had we were driving to work yesterday. And it's so funny. Well, let me go back to our LT retreat. So, we got Expedition. We got Big Papa.
Right, yeah.
We used to have Uncle Phil Expedition. Now we got Big Papa.
Yeah.
Well, something's wrong with the AC now, so you got to hit it with a Stanley to get the AC to turn on the bottom. Right?
Okay.
So it's so funny. So we were going to see The Chosen.
Yeah.
We had a guy's car and a girl's car. I was in the guy's truck, and Leash had all the girls in there.
Yeah.
And they had to drive and try to hit the AC. And girls aren't good at stuff like that. I'm just saying. Or at least these girls weren't. They're like, come on. She's trying to hit it with a cup. I'm like, bro, we ghetto. But is that the enemy that's attacked my AC, or does things break in a car?
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like even yesterday, we're driving in, and I took my hand off the steering wheel, and the car's going to the right. I'm like, bro, what is happening?
Yeah.
I get here, my tire's almost flat. I'm like, well, there's the problem.
Yeah.
So I go over, plug the tire. Like again, the enemy didn't flatten my tire. Like
Right.
I need some new tires. It's for real.
Yeah.
And I know those seem like silly examples, but what I'm saying is sometimes it goes back to we see what we're looking for.
Yeah.
So if you're looking for the ways the enemy is attacking me, then everything that doesn't match up. I was telling some students, it's kind of like this. Some of your homies may kid around and go, bro, you're so dumb, right? And you may not think a whole lot of it. However, you take a test that day, you fail that test. And the enemy's going to remind, hey, remember your homie said you was dumb.
Yeah.
You just failed this test. And before you know it, you now take on the identity of, I'm not good at math.
Right.
Why? Because you heard something, you failed a test, and now you're connecting the dots because you're looking for the negative and you go, I'm just not good at math.
Yeah.
Is that really true? Or is the truth is you don't study anyway?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? But
Right.
it's easier to go, I'm not good at something, and to try to give me a pass. So it's kind of the same way I think sometimes with the enemy. We give him a lot of credit for things that he don't have nothing to do with.
Yeah.
And not saying none of that's not real. We don't deal with things. The enemy's not, again, I believe the moment, you give your life to Christ, like, yeah, you're definitely on the list, right? Because he don't want us to do that. But I'm going to be honest. I think it's hard enough dealing with ourselves. The enemy knows that we can take our own self out.
Yeah.
And I would always say it like this, and this is not, you can edit this out if you want. But I always say, because it sounds crazy, it's like you don't wake up and just are a crack addict.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I'm saying, like, I don't think you just don't wake up and be like, I'm addicted, I'm hooked. Like,
Yeah.
it starts somewhere else.
Right.
And it's like if you're walking on the sidewalk and there's a big pile of sand on the sidewalk, what are you going to do?
And sand?
Sand, huge pile of sand, as tall as you are. What are you going to do?
Walk around it?
Walk around it. If there's a little bit of dirt sprinkled on the sidewalk, what are you going to do?
Probably step over it.
Step over it or walk right through it. Because so what I'm saying is, sometimes it's not this crazy thing. It don't happen like that. There's things that lead to that.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So sometimes it's those little things that we start allowing in, and we start thinking about ourselves. And the enemy's sitting back going like, bro, I ain't got to worry about this person. They're doing a good enough job by themselves. Like, and the enemy is not going to come in, especially to believers, and go, oh, I'm going to hook them on, like, he's smarter than that. So if he can't trip us up like he does some people with something obvious, right? What is it going to be? Is it just going to be a thought? Is it going to be is it going to make a volunteer think that I hadn't been here a while, I don't know if I should go today? Right. Is it going to be, you know what I'm saying? But like a lot of this stuff we do ourselves. He's sitting back going like, I think his job's easier than we think sometimes because we do that to ourselves so much. Right. As we talk, social media comparison. Man, my life don't look like someone else's. I feel like I'm not measuring up. They follow the Lord, I follow the Lord. They got a new car and a new this, and I don't have any of that. I must be doing something wrong. Right. Like, back in the day, man, if you didn't get healed or things weren't happening in your life, like I can remember being in churches where they'd be like, you must have some unconfessed sin in your life. Yeah. And like the pressure of thinking like, could you imagine searching your heart and going, I don't know if anything I've done wrong, but you're right. I'm driving this hoopty. God's not blessed me. There's got to be something in here.
Right.
Like, it's crazy.
That's
you know what I'm saying?
wild mindset.
Yeah, but like, so it only takes a couple of thoughts to literally, again, I like cruises. I've only been on 2. But Carnival, if you're watching, hook a brother up. I like cruises, but it's like, you turn the ship out, like just a little turn, all of a sudden, way out to sea, like it makes a huge difference. Nothing happens at first.
Yeah.
You don't even realize it before you know it.
Right, just a little bit off.
Yeah, it's just, and again, I've heard it said this, man, what is the best lie the devil can tell? It's closest to the truth. So let me just turn it a click over to where it's not super obvious, but down the road, you're going to get those thoughts in your head.
Right.
And so again, I think people just dealing with this themselves, just trying to get through this life with your own thoughts sometimes is pretty tough.
Yeah.
That's why it says you need to make every thought obedient to Christ.
Right.
Why is that? Because we get some wild thoughts.
Yeah.
And what happens if we do nothing with those thoughts?
Right. They'll go somewhere else. They'll find a place.
They will. Just like my man going like, I don't know if I should go today, but when he started praying, put on some worship, he was like, wait, that's my family there. That's my encouragement. Like, that's my place.
Yeah.
So, but if you don't take those thoughts captive, all of a sudden they grow, and all of a sudden you're like, so man, do you still go to Ella? No, I don't go to church anymore. What happened? Well, I didn't go in a while, and I know they don't want me there. And like all of a sudden you've created this narrative in your mind that never existed.
Right. Yeah, you ask one person, from this, I'd be like, yeah, we love them, we miss them, where they at?
Yeah.
We want to see them. It makes me think of like, your thoughts, credit of, what something's come from. It makes me think of like a sorting system almost. So like, while you're speaking, I'm thinking like, there's like a couple different cups, right? Like a cup that's like labeled you, maybe a cup that's labeled like the enemy. Yeah. And you have this cup full of credit, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes like there's just stuff that just happens that's you, right? And sometimes there's stuff that happens that's the enemy, right? But a lot of times, like you said, we'll pour a lot of this into the enemy's cup. And then you got this cup of what God does in your life. And somehow you've given more credit to the enemy of bad things than you've given God credit for the good things he's done in your life.
It's really, what are you looking? Are you looking for the Mustang or not?
Right.
Like if you're looking for God to do great things, you're going to see all the great things he's done.
Yeah.
But if your bias is towards what's not happening, then what do you think happens when you talk about the enemy all the time and the way he's getting you?
Yeah. Right. You're opening yourself up.
He's just going to keep getting you because like everything that goes wrong, and then when something else happens, you goes, he's at it again.
I've heard Pastor Steph talk about the counterfeit. People who know money. People who can see counterfeit money and be like, that's fake. That's not real. And they always talk about they don't study and look at different counterfeit bills and see how are these counterfeiters getting us. All they study is the pure, real truth of dollar, and they know that so well that they can see when something comes in that's not that. You know,
for
it's
sure.
the same thing too.
Yeah. You don't want to go to the dryer and like, oh man, my clothes are still wet. Enemy got me on that one.
Yeah,
bro, you didn't hit the button. You know what I'm saying? So
Right.
Just being aware of that, I think is just good for us to know. And like, hold on, let's look back at what's happening and go, like, God, look how good you truly are.
Yeah.
But it is, you literally are what you focus on.
Yep, absolutely.
100%. And your day is what your day is like when you focus on bad things and the enemy and the lack you have.
It's bad.
That is the children of Israel.
Yeah.
As we go all the way back, everything that God was doing for them, none of it was enough.
Yeah.
Instead of going, hold on, we're not slaves anymore.
Yeah.
And if you go through that story, whenever they sent out the 12 spies, and Joshua and Caleb came back and they were ready to stone Joshua and Caleb. Why? Because they said we could take the land.
Yeah, they're too optimistic.
Hold on. God said we could take the land.
Yeah.
We went over, looked at the land and go, guess what? It is nice. And guess what? It's ours.
Yeah.
Nah, bro, we can't do it. What?
Yeah, stop playing.
Stop playing. Like, it's ours.
Yeah.
Like, them guys, and they got to, oh, bro, that's crazy.
Yeah.
That is crazy. Like, no, we're doing just what the Lord said. Jesus is fulfilling the prophecy. And it's not the way you want it to look. It's crazy to me.
Yeah. Okay, you said something that made me think. You talked about children of Israel and how it was enough. Let's talk about Dayenu.
Bro.
You spoke on Dayenu. Once again, you're the chosen spokesperson. But tell us about the concept.
All right, Dayenu. I don't even have that on my notes here. I didn't even bring it with
me.
I
got
it's okay. Right here. I got you, bro.
Oh, you're up here.
I got you up here. Yeah. Okay. So I never knew that was a thing in Jewish tradition. Right. So they did that in the Chosen beautifully. Yeah. So I went and looked it up. And I had to write it. I told you I had to write it out because I kept saying Dayenu, but it's Dayenu. But it really is. It's like a song they do during Passover that really goes through everything that happened to the children of Israel. But it really is a gratitude, praise, or prayer that it would say, if you had rescued us from Egypt and done nothing to our captors, Dayenu, which means it would have been enough.
Yeah.
What it is saying is, God, just take one moment with the Lord. If that's all you did in my life, God, if you saved me and never did anything else, that would have been enough. Like, do we really think that way?
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? So as they went through, like, if you would have got us to the Red Sea but didn't take us across the land, it would have been enough. If you would have let us cross through on dry land and not crushed our enemies, that would have been enough.
Yeah.
Like, if you think about that, and then, bro, I'm telling you, we were getting hyped, bro. Just talking about, like, all the different ways you could do that. Imagine if we thought that way. Imagine if you woke up in the morning. And again, I know this is like a Jewish tradition thing, but I'll swagger jacket and turn it into mine. And I'm like, if I wake up and go, God, the fact that you woke me up today and you saved me, if you do nothing else for me today, that's enough.
Yeah.
And if we walk in the mindset of going, what God's already done in your life is enough, everything else is bonus.
Yeah.
Think about that. Everything else is bonus.
Yeah.
Everything else is overtime.
So good.
You know what I mean? Like he's already done enough. Do you really believe he's done enough? Because if you do, then realize everything else he does in your life is just a blessing.
Right. The victory's already won, you know?
Right.
And I think about, like, I'm trying to think of a comparison. I can't think of one off the top of my head, but like, just like the pressure that's off of you when you know that like this task is already done. So like you said, everything else is just bonus. We're in the bonus. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like you're like, it's almost, you know, we play, basketball, you know, the, what's it called? Pop shot, right? You shoot, and then you get this good score, right? And then it's like, okay, well, guess what? That score's already locked in. Now you get an extra round of bonus, right? You get the bonus round, and everything else you get is just more tickets. You get more points, right? Like, now we're just in the bonus round because the victory's already won.
Right, think about that. So you've given your life to the Lord.
Right.
Your eternity is secure in heaven.
Right.
So anything that happens on this planet is bonus.
Yeah.
Like, my eternity is set. I'm going to be living and worshiping Jesus for eternity. All right, is that not enough?
Right.
Whenever you if I do a quick inventory of who I was and the things I've done, I don't deserve any forgiveness. I deserve justice.
Yeah.
Right? Like, I've made a lot of mistakes. But instead, he goes, my grace is sufficient. He saved me. My eternity is locked in heaven.
Yeah.
And now anything after that, if you really think of that, anything after that is bonus. Like, what I get to do.
Yeah.
My kids, my wife, like all those things, like all that is in the bonus.
Yeah.
But sometimes we're like, none of this is enough. And he's like, I can imagine him going, and he would never do this, but like, what more do you want, bro?
Right, yeah.
Like, you have eternal life.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
You know, this reminds me of this. Okay, so your wife, Alicia, Leash is what we call her. She has this phrase where she'll go, sorry, Jesus, right? You know, like, if any of us are complaining about anything, she'll go, sorry, Jesus, you died on the cross. It's this sarcastic thing of being like, how bad can it be? Like, how bad, like, if we're like, oh, we gotta go do something or whatever, like, oh, sorry, Jesus. You know, it's like, it's enough. So everything else is the bonus.
Right. Yeah. But the hard part is, because even knowing that, even us agreeing on that today, I'll see you in eternity, bro.
Yeah.
Right? I get a job, you get a job across the country. We don't see each other for the rest of our lives. We'll meet in heaven. Yeah. However, we understand that, but like, in the moment, we still don't
absolutely.
get it.
And it is hard.
It is hard. Like, sickness happens and death happens.
Right.
And all these things happen in this life.
And we're only human, so you have these emotions and these responses.
100%. So there's that side, but it's like, it's our, and Pastor West talked about last time, like, we're spiritual beings trying to do physical things, not physical beings trying to do spiritual things.
Yeah.
But us truly understanding, like, what happens? I've been on this planet for 51 years. 51 years seems like a really long time, right? But it's nothing. That's not even that's a nothing
fraction
compared to what eternity is going to be.
Yeah, right.
So even that, and like I said, we're humans, so we deal with all these things. And that's why sometimes I think it's hard, because like, we're complaining about this little thing, and Jesus is like, if you could, there's no way to have a timeline of eternity, but it's like, like, you're way over here.
Yeah.
You're tripping over something that's way over here.
Yeah. If you would have just stepped back and see, it's what we talk about with Jesus, my time's not yet come. All these things, like, if you could just see the bigger picture.
Yeah. And I know it's hard to do, because, we love people, and we have feelings and all those things. But he's like, man, what I even came to do is so much bigger. And that's why I think it was so hard for them to grasp in the moment. Yeah. Because we know in 2025, we sometimes have trouble grasping. Yeah. With but realizing, like, God, what you have done is truly enough. Right. Like, I am set up for eternity. I'm not the man I used to be. Yeah. If you don't show up ever again, that's enough. Yeah. But it's hard to sometimes be okay with that. But something like that, helps you remember, like,
Yeah.
wait a minute, let's get it back in perspective.
Yeah.
Let's look for the Mustang again, God. Let's look at what you've done. Mm-hmm. And if you never do anything else, man, how blessed are we?
Yeah.
With just if it was only, think if it was only salvation,
Right.
would you still do it?
Right.
I thought about that. I was like, would you give your life if he goes, hey, salvation is it? There's nothing else, no other benefit of serving me.
Yeah.
And we know there's tons.
Yeah.
But what if he's like, would you do this just for
Right.
salvation?
Would that be enough in your mind? Yeah.
Would it be enough? Mm-hmm. Because if you live life like that, like every day is a gift, man, and you realize, like, bro,
Dayenu.
Lock
it in.
Would have been enough.
Don't forget it. Write it on the bathroom mirror. Get a reminder. Let them know.
Like this. I go through the drive-thru, and if they shorted me my nuggets, but I got my burger's enough. You know, I'm like you can use it everywhere.
Everywhere.
It's just gratefulness.
Yeah.
It really is.
For sure.
Realizing, and we always say this in kids. I tell kids a lot. Remember this: somebody's always going to have it better than you.
Right.
Somebody's always going to have the newer game, the nicer. Like that's life. But someone's always going to have it worse than you too.
Right.
So if you're grateful for where you are, you'll realize like don't get it twisted. We think we want all this, and we know that from Hollywood. You see struggles of celebrities, you know, because again, if you don't have money, money's the answer.
Right. Yeah.
Then you see people with money go wilding out like money didn't work for them.
Yeah.
But I'm the same way. I'm like, I would like to try that myself to see.
Yeah. Maybe.
Maybe I can do it different. But
Yeah.
also, I could also be in the same boat and be like, you're right. Like that's not. But you're a grateful heart and a grateful attitude.
Yeah.
Dayenu, baby.
Dayenu, let's
It
go.
would have been enough.
Okay, before we jump to the last part of your message,
Okay.
which is, helping other people see Jesus and, even helping ourselves be able to do that. Is there anything else that you were like, I wanted to talk about this or throw a little extra on there?
Man, I wish I would have took some better notes before this because I feel like every service I go into, it's funny, man. And I tell people this because I work with kids and teenagers mostly. So, there's normally a lot of time on whenever I have to speak on Sundays.
Yeah.
And this happens to me every time I speak. So I'm just going to let the world know. This is what I do every time. I'm like, man, I don't know if I'm going to have enough content.
Yeah.
Because for kids, we speak way less because their attention span's way less.
Right.
And every time I get up there, I'm like, there's not enough time. So it's so funny.
Yeah.
And so some things I cut short and some thoughts I don't even totally flesh out. So again, drop those in the comments. I'll get back to you.
Yeah.
But no, man, that's really my heart of the whole thing is us just realizing like, as Jesus came in, the timing, like everything was perfect for this moment.
Right.
And sometimes we're like so quick to let's just get to Easter and the egg hunt and all that part. Like we miss, like you talked about, every day something is happening.
Right.
From, Jesus coming in and flipping the tables. And like all these things are setting up for what was going to happen that we're going to celebrate on Sunday with being this resurrection.
Yeah.
But it took Good Friday. It took all those moments, the triumphal entry of him coming in, and even calling it that, the triumphal entry.
Right. Whew.
Like, let's go. He's coming into like, but could you imagine for the ones that did believe and go, this is our king riding in?
Yeah.
And then they saw him nailed to a cross. And
Yeah. Whew. Yeah.
like, you talking about like a twist in a movie, like like a movie you didn't see it coming.
Yeah, you'd be like, what happened from Sunday?
Right.
Yeah.
Because even though he was saying those things, you're like, I've seen him raise, like, he's on that cross right now.
Yeah.
Like, bro, how cool. Like, I just think of the crazy emotions of what this week must have been like.
Right.
And even if you knew it, and like I said, we know he told us all these things were going to happen, but like, that's different. Hearing about it's different than seeing it in real life.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's that the game plan is one thing, in the game is totally different. So I'm, like, thinking of this playing out in front of them. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's why I think there were very few people there at the cross, because like they couldn't handle it.
Right.
Like, I believed him. I've watched everything he'd done, but like, I just didn't think it was going to end this way.
Yeah.
I didn't think, and again, they thought it was the end. You know what I'm saying?
Stop playing.
Stop playing, bro. That's like, it's plot twist.
Yeah, for real.
So he like zigzagged him, Roki doked him twice on this. Like,
yeah, for sure.
I'm coming in as a king. Wait, he's on trial. Now he's committed. Now he's convicted. Now he's on the cross.
Yeah.
JK, about to come back. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, it seems like a lot of the message really, at the end of the day was about, seeing and your expectations, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it really was, man. Just trying to get people to get in that mindset of like, man, look at what the Lord has done for us.
Right.
And I don't want anyone to miss him. And there's a scripture I didn't even talk about. I already took it out of my notes, bro. Yeah, I took it out. I was like, but it was in Revelations. It says, he's coming back this next time on a white horse with crowns and it's a whole different
vivid
level.
picture.
Yeah, it's a vivid picture that John had of this revelation of what it's going to look like the next time when he comes back for his church. You know what I'm saying? So like even that, it made me think about like we know in Revelation from the prophecy that John's like he's going to come back on a white like. I literally think he could split the sky, come back just as described, and people's gonna be like, I don't know if that's him though.
Yeah, right.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah.
Like, which is crazy because like that's what they did then. Like, he was fulfilling the prophecy.
Yeah.
And people still miss it. I'm like, I sure hope that's like, surely it's not me.
Yeah.
I ain't gonna be arrogant enough to say that, but like, I just picture this like seeing the news artists be like, what could this be? And some people being like, we've waited for this moment. Right. People like, I don't think that's him.
Yeah.
Oh, it's someone else on a white horse.
Right.
Doing the whole thing that looks like Jesus, you know.
Yeah.
Like, okay, there's multiple people doing this.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, bro.
And then, you challenged at the end, to reflect on, seeing Jesus and our expectation, and then helping others around us see Jesus. Yeah. And I think that's good, too, just because, a lot of things it's like, you're one or two people watching this message, right? You're like, obviously you're always going to need help being able to have your expectations, but also you may be a person that's like, I do have a really good revelation on this. Like, okay, well then now start sharing it with others around you because other people around you might be the ones that are missing it,
Yeah. And I'm big on like, just share your story, like your testimony. Wow. Like there's nothing you believe more. Yeah. Like there's things in the Bible that I'm like, I'm still trying to figure out. Yeah. But who I am and who I was and who I am now, like I've got no doubt on it.
I know that story.
You know, like everybody, like I can't, it's funny. I tell myself, even Zoe and Aspen Sunday were like, are you going to tell your story at camp? Because I'm like, I tell it every year, every camp. And I'm like, I'm not going to do it this time. Yeah. But I can't, I can't not. Like, it just comes out because like, I'll be honest, there's nothing I believe more. Right. Do I believe that more than the word? Like, I don't. I'm going to say I do, but what I'm saying is like, I just know I'm not the same. And there's no explanation. Yeah. Other than the Lord.
Yeah, we talk about, the blood of the Lamb and the word of your
testimony. So I'm like, I can't not like, and it was really cool. Miss Brenda, she's on, works in our prayer and care ministry. She emailed me and said her and a couple of people have prayed for salvation with people on Sunday. Yeah. Which is so cool to me because why like, don't take my word for it. Just test the Lord and see. Like, reach out. Like, pray and say, God, if you are real, like, I believe He'll show up. Yeah. So what I'm saying is the pressure's not even on me to. I'm not here to convince you. And I said that I'm not trying to be a salesman. I'm trying to convince you of like, hey, do this because I made a good argument. What I want you to do is ask yourself, and you ask the Lord. Yeah. Right. Like this isn't on me to convince you. Mm-hmm. I'm trying to throw some ideas that will make you yourself go, God, if that's you. Right. I want to receive you. Yeah. And I believe He shows up in those moments and you still look the same. Yeah. Which is hard to believe, but I'm telling you, what He starts doing on the inside of you is like, it's a miracle, bro. It is truly, people are like, I want to see miracles in the church. Going from death to life is a miracle. Yeah. Giving your life to the Lord, that is a miracle. Why? Like, I say it like this sometimes, like, do you want to be saved or do you want to walk? Right. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, don't get me wrong. If I couldn't walk, I want to walk. However, but walking and not knowing who God is, that's the moment. Yeah. That's that moment you want the Lord to come in. But realize like, I want to know who the Lord is and know Him for eternity. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want that first. That is to me, there's miracles that happen every week. But again, the miracle I want to see is someone, okay, you want to see a certain kind of miracle. Be specific, tell the Lord what you want to see. Yeah. But like what a miracle is to me is like going from death to life in that moment and giving your heart to the Lord and what God does on the inside of you. Yeah. Bro, that's a miracle. Yeah. That is a miracle that happens all the time. And yeah. Don't overlook that one. Yeah. I want to see the physical miracles too, for sure. I'm all about it. Get out them chairs and go tell the world. Yeah. But I'm like, I don't want that if I don't have the other. Yeah. What I want is people to come into the knowledge of who Jesus is. Mm-hmm. And you have a personal revelation and experience with Him. That's good. You know what I'm saying? Like I want people to get that. Yeah. So I share and to me, the opportunity to speak, I love it. I love it. Why? Because I want people to meet Jesus. Yeah. That's what I want. Yeah. I want people to have an encounter like I had, or I want them to have their own encounter with the Lord that they go like, it is crazy. You're right. Like I literally prayed and something changed. Yeah. And sometimes that's hard to explain to people. Yeah. You know, they come, especially if you're a title of a pastor, they want you to come pray over them. And like, again, there's nothing, I want to pray over you. Yeah. What I'm saying is what you don't realize is like the Lord wants to move in you and through you right where you are. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like God will use you. And it was so cool, man. Even as I came off the stage, there were so many people to pray for. And I was able to pray for a young man just the Lord would, move in his life. And it's like, it's in those moments that when you open yourself up, God comes in and he fills those moments.
Yeah.
And it's not nothing I did or anyone else did, but it's you just being in a place of going, I think today's the day that I'm just going to see.
Yeah.
I'm going to see. You know what I'm saying? Like I was the type of guy, man, in church, I'd be like, play that song again. Like I would feel the beating in my chest and I'd feel like I know there's things I need to work on, but I don't know, man. I just wanted to like try to work it out myself. And I would just be in those moments. I'm like, well, if they sing this song again,
right.
I'm even making deals about that.
Yeah,
like, God, give me a sign.
Right.
And everything would happen. I'm like, well, what about, can you give me a, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, but as you have this revelation and this epiphany of like, God loves you and he has a plan for you. You know what I'm saying? Like, and realize that this whole week, why is this week so important? Like, this is what he had to do because he loved you that much.
Right.
That God says, for us to be connected, it never worked throughout the Old Testament. I tell you what, I've got the plan.
Yeah.
And I'm going to send my son to take the penalty and sin of the world on his shoulders.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And he did that for us. He died on that cross. So to me, it's, it's even when, and there's nothing wrong with the jewelry, but, people always have the jewelry of Jesus. And it's like one little dot here and here. I was like, bro, it was so much crazier than that. Like you couldn't wear that, what it actually looked like.
Right.
It said you couldn't even recognize him.
Right.
So like what he went through for us to be able to be forgiven, you know what I'm saying, is huge.
Yeah.
Monumental.
Yeah.
Life, like it's the greatest thing that's ever happened in the history of the planet. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, so good. So I know that, we always, talk about and ask, the speaker, where were they pulling from in the message? I know a lot of it is like, well, the Gospels, because that's where, where it was. But is there any other places or things like that?
Man, really just that whole triumphal entry. And then when I went back, it was cool that you were able to pull back to, I knew about the Zechariah, I didn't know about the Daniel one. That the 173,000 days in the Jewish calendar. Like, it's crazy. And again, I'm normally not that deep.
Yeah.
Not that makes me deep. I don't mean that. But I'm just saying, like, I normally don't go back that. I feel like I'm more simple gospel. Of just like, man, let me just tell you what the Lord did. But when you look back at that, even that, I was like, bro, this is so wild. Yeah. That the way that the timeline just worked out. Right. That it was all tied together. Right. And it's crazy because, sometimes you hear, if you're on TikTok or something, people be like, you got that guy Cliff that goes around to colleges and talks and, everybody's always like, well, how do you know the Bible's accurate? So many authors and all this thing. But I'm like, you're right. That's what even makes it crazy. You think of all these different authors that is God inspired. Yeah. And writings from here, like they all just do like this. Yeah. And they just all tie together. Right. So even this, because we do this we do it in LS Kids. We talk about the triumphal entry and we do a craft and but even that, like everything is so planned out and so thought out what the Lord does. Right. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not just an accident. We don't believe, we believe God's in control of everything. Yeah. And so just going through this and putting, to me, something I've read before, like you hear it every year, right? Right. Like Palm Sunday's nothing new. Good Friday, Easter, like we do that every year. Right. But sometimes, even for me, this time of looking back and seeing it from a different lens and going like, man, God, again, the rocks cry out, how that comes out, how Peter recognizes that, you are the Son of God. I'm going to build my church on that revelation. But then also I'm going to get onto you in the next moment. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the way all this is stacking on top. Yeah. Of realizing it's just cool the way that God put it all together. Right. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? And sometimes it's and there's nothing wrong with your verse of the day, but like it's my verse of the day, and that's really the verse I know. Yeah. But how does that tie into this story? Right. And then when, like I said, and the rock crowd is only come from Luke's perspective. You know what I'm saying? So even that, you got the 4 gospels, and even that, there's things that are in one gospel that aren't in the others. Right. And why? It's different perspective. They saw something. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's really fascinating. Yeah. When you really like dig down in that. Yeah. And, like, trying to like, man. But you got to think if there was the 4 homies went on a trip and we all talk about, we've been on several vacations. Right. 4 of us went to Austin together one time for spring break.
My book's different. Right. Yeah.
If we all wrote down the highlights of the trip, there are going to be some things that when we like me rolling up on a scooter at In-N-Out, we're all on that one.
I was fired. Yeah.
But there's going to be things that like you experienced that I didn't, or I didn't even see that moment. Right. You know what I'm saying? But it's just cool, man. It's cool this time of year, really just. Right. And I think it brings the world to focus on the church a little bit more. Yeah. Of who Jesus is and what He's doing in the earth. Yeah. So I think that's what makes Holy Week so cool, and this week leading into it, whether it's egg hunts or whatever it is, it's still the world almost turns their attention. Right. even without even really, sometimes they don't even realize what's happening.
Right.
But like, we're celebrating the resurrection of Jesus.
Yeah.
Like, we're celebrating this entire week that why he came and he paid the price. Not just that he rose again, but like, he went to the cross first.
Yeah.
And paid for sin.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That I can say a prayer now.
Yeah.
You know, we didn't even, there's so much more to get into this. We didn't even get into with the flipping of the tables and the offerings and the, like, how crazy it is to think that you used to have to bring something to sacrifice for the Lord.
Yeah.
It is almost so simple now that we don't buy it.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It's
like,
too good. Yeah.
Right. Like, I can literally say this prayer. Yeah. You pray and ask God to forgive you and to be the Lord of your life. Like, confess your mouth and believe in your heart that God raised him from the dead. You'll be forgiven. Like, it's got to be more than that. Like, does it?
Yeah. Right.
Why? Because our value system says it has to be more.
Right.
If we're not careful, we can even miss that.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That God says, like, I'm sending my son. I'm going to connect us back together.
Yeah.
That you can say a prayer to me. Where used to only the priest could pray.
Right.
You couldn't even get into the room to pray.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, if you just, bro, it's
so
wild.
good. It's so good.
Wild.
Pastor Bunk, thank you so much for sitting down with us
for sure,
and sharing, you know, the message and the heart behind the message and all that. If you guys want to check out the full message, if you haven't seen it, go look at it on our YouTube and our podcast, all the platforms, and we will see you guys next week.
Thanks for listening. If you want to check out full messages, you can find us at LS Church on all podcast platforms, and you can watch full services with worship at LS Church Alvin on YouTube.